Good morning, class. Yesterday we discussed about chemiosmotic hypothesis, in which we discussed that how the assimilatory powers, means ATP and NADPH, are formed during light reaction. Light reaction takes place in grana part, singular is granum, but what happens after that? Where are these ATP and NADPH are used, which are formed during the light reaction? They are used in biosynthetic form, or known as dark reaction or light independent reaction. What happens here actually? ATP and NADPH are produced during light reaction, and O2 is also produced and diffused during light reaction out the chloroplast. And this O2 is the source of oxygen for every living being on this planet, blue planet or planet Earth. Now these ATP and NADPH are used in dark reaction or biosynthetic phase, and they help in reduction of CO2 into glucose or sucrose, and later on it converts into starch. Means plant produce the food in the form of glucose and they store it in the form of starch. What happens during reduction of CO2? Reduction of CO2 into glucose takes place through C-3 or C-4 cycle. Some plants complete it into one cycle C-3, and some plant completes it into two cycles through C-3 cycle and C-4 cycle. The plants which are C-4 plants, means there both the cycles are taking place side by side, C-3 as well as C-4 cycle. But C-3 cycle, C-3 plants, they are completing this reduction of CO2 into one cycle, that is Calvin cycle or C-3 cycle, Calvin-Benson cycle. He got Nobel Prize also for this discovery. Scientists worked for many years to think about that where this CO2, which is the molecule which is accepting this CO2. So in this cycle we are going to discuss. This is most important question. Generally one question is being asked during NEET examination from this C-3 cycle. If not from C-3, then it will be from C-4 cycle, and one question in NEET means 4 marks. So this Calvin cycle completes into 3 steps. Number 1 is carboxylation, number 2 is reduction, and number 3 is regeneration. What happens is there is one product, that is ribulose 1,5-bisphosphate. Focus करो यहाँ. Ribulose 1,5-bisphosphate. This is the acceptor molecule, and it accepts CO2 and water from atmosphere. Actually water from soil and CO2 from atmosphere. So this ribulose 1,5-bisphosphate, when it receives CO2, carboxylation takes place and it changes the ribulose 1,5-bisphosphate into 3-phosphoglycerate, 3-PGA. 3-PGA. This 3-PGA is the first stable compound of C-3 cycle. That's why the cycle is known as C-3 cycle, because this is 3 carbon compound. This is 2 carbon compound. 1 carbon is getting from CO2 during carboxylation and change into 3-phosphoglycerate, means 3 carbon compound. And here ATP and NADPH are used, which were produced in light reaction, and ADP, inorganic phosphate, and NADP ion is produced. Then reduction part takes place, and this 3-phosphoglycerate change into triose phosphate, and these are the sugar or starch, means 6 carbon compound. What happens is after that this triose phosphate again regenerate into ribulose 1,5-bisphosphate, and it again requires energy, ATP, and it changes ATP into ADP and inorganic phosphate. So the energy which was produced by in the light reaction, it is used here. So it is the complete life Calvin cycle. You have to complete it in your fair notebook with the help of text already provided to you, and you will send it to me up to evening. Thank you.